My name is Victor. I am the occult technician, and this is Mind War. Mind War is sponsored by Victory Work Apparel. Use promo code Mind War. Join the Mind War today. Enlist at patreon.com/mindwar. Now, back to the show. Welcome back to Mind War, folks. I appreciate you being here. We have a lot to cover today, so let's get started. Folks, before we jump back into our reading, today's reading from the book Magic History Theory Practice by Dr. Ernst Schertl, I wanted to share with you one of the magical techniques that you all will be using in your practice. And these, again, so the goal here with the Mind War series on magic is not to, tell you step by step, here's exactly what you need to do magic in regards to like, buy this certain object, have the pentagram, put on a robe, chant these following chants, light candles, all this type of stuff. You can do those however you like. I'm not here to tell you that you have to follow my style, that you have to use my symbolism, that you have to do everything exactly the same. That's not it. That's what you get when you join other already established, belief systems or groups. That's what they're going to give you. They're going to tell you exactly what to do. For here, again, it's chaos magic. Choose whatever you want, whatever feels good to you. But again, all magicians, everyone who practices magic, there are certain universal techniques that are, in my opinion, required to do actual magic. If you're not doing these techniques, you may not be doing real magic, right? One of those that we've already talked about is the magic mushrooms. I think even if you can't do them every single time, I believe the magic mushrooms are crucial. I believe they are one of the, they call them magic for a reason, folks. It was occult. It was hidden right in front of us the whole time. And that's the same with this next technique. Now, we've went through all sorts of books here on the Mind War podcast. I mean, we're literally working on Adolf Hitler's favorite book right now. This was the most read book in his library, according to historians, right? And it's a book about demonic magic. I did not see that coming. This is not what I had planned when I started the Mind War podcast. Again, like we told you, the story of how we got to this book, we just followed the breadcrumbs. We gathered the information wherever it came. There was no fear. We didn't stop because we said, Nazi magic. We're not going to even read that because it's too scary. Everyone tells us it's bad. No, we're going to look at it and see what it truly is. And when you do, you're like, oh, there's something amazing here. Okay. I mean, look at all the books that we've read through already, right? We went through Mind War by Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aguino. Again, a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army, part of the Psychological Operations Group. He writes a book called Mind War that's basically the new version of PSYOPs that have been unleashed on us here. He was also the co-founder of the Satanic Church and the founder of the Temple of Set. So again, the co-founder of the Satanic Church was a member of the United States Military Psychological Operations Team, right? I mean, that speaks volumes as to what Satanism really is and how it came about here in the United States. And I believe he was a major player in bringing it to all of us. Then we worked from the book First Earth Battalion, which was one of the books mentioned in the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats. Again, an amazing movie. They hid all sorts of symbolism right in front of our eyes. That movie talks a lot about the gateway experience without actually saying it, but they talk about all the techniques that are used throughout the tapes. Another very mysterious book that was placed right in front of us for all of us to find, right? It was hidden in front of our eyes. And then, of course, we worked through the Gateway Experience tapes, the entire year-long series. We read through all of Robert Monroe's books, all 3 of his books, and we read through the Army's report. Again, the Army comes in and does this major report on the Gateway Experience tapes and tries to prove whether they're real or not, and there was some amazing things in that book. And again, now we're working from Hitler's favorite book, Magic. What? How did we get here? Well, this book here that we're about to talk about real quick, another very strange book, right? And I don't know. You guys might get a kick out of this because I thought it was pretty silly when I first figured it out as well. But this book, when I show it to you, y'all are going to recognize it. It's called Magic Eye Gallery. That's right, folks. The Magic Eye Gallery book. You probably remember this from when you were in elementary or middle school. This is the book that has all the weird scrambled pictures in it, right? All of the strange pictures. You've maybe seen posters like this, and it just kind of just looks like weird colors and shapes, kind of almost psychedelic in a way. But as you all know, any of you who have used the Magic Eye Gallery book, you know that if you stare at the picture in a specific way, that a 3D object appears in the picture, okay? Now, for people who can't do this, and I know so many people who cannot do this, they think we're lying. They just don't get it, right? But for those of you who've used this book, you realize how weird it is to see a 3D, image inside of these 2D scrambled kind of psychedelic looking patterns. It just doesn't make sense, right? But we're going to make sense out of it. And again, when I talk about these things being hidden right in front of us the whole time, they've been hiding right in front of us, right? Literally. Magic mushrooms. The word magic is right in them. But they are, I believe, a Schedule 1 drug. I believe psilocybin, the drug that's found in magic mushrooms by the United States government, is considered worse than fentanyl, heroin, meth, all of the most destructive drugs out there. The government, the U.S. government, considers psilocybin mushrooms worse than meth and fentanyl and heroin and all this stuff. Completely mind-blowing. It shows and proves to us how corrupt things are in the world today and how they are desperately toying with us in a way because they're trying to keep all these things away from us, yet they hide it right in front of us. Magic mushrooms, magic, history, theory, practice. But we're going to tell everybody, oh, this is Adolf Hitler's favorite book, so no one's going to read it. Or the Magic Eye Gallery. It's just a silly kid's book. No one's going to take it serious, but it's very serious. Magic Eye Gallery is going to teach you what I call the stare. And that's the magical technique that we're going to talk about here just for a few minutes before we get back to our reading, right? The stare. When you see movies or images of, the gypsy fortune teller, and she's staring into the crystal ball. There's a technique that she's using. And the technique that she's using is the same stare technique that you use to make the Magic Eye Gallery pictures work, to make the 3D object appear in these images, okay? What is the stare? Let's talk about it scientifically first, okay? So this was wild. I just read this for the first time the other day, actually, and it was pretty interesting. And so these are viewing techniques, okay? And what we're going to see is they give you an example here, and it might be hard to see on the screen, but on the top of this example are 2 red stars, okay? So remember that for the future. And we're going to read through the instructions that the creators of this book gave us in order to do the stare that is required to see the 3D objects inside this book. And it says this: there are 2 methods for viewing the magic eye images. Number 1, diverging your eyes, which means focusing beyond the image, or converging your eyes, which means focusing before the image or crossing your eyes. Okay, so right away, we have 2 different ways to do this. Diverging your eyes, where you look through the object or look past the object, or converging your eyes, where you focus in front of the object. Okay? All of the magic eye images in this book have been created to be viewed by diverging your eyes. Again, looking through the page is what allows the 3D image to appear. That's what we're going to be using when we do magic. I don't think that I've ever done the converging where I looked beforehand. I have to think about that. It's more in the moment, well, whichever works for you, right? So instructions number 1 for diverging your eyes, which is, again, focusing beyond the image. It says, to reveal the hidden 3D illusion, hold the center of the image right up to your nose. It should be blurry. Focus as though you are looking through the image into the distance, and then very slowly move the image away from your face until the 2 stars, remember, there was 2 stars above the picture, until the 2 stars above the image turn into 3 stars. 2 stars turning into 3 stars. That's what you're going to visualize them, okay? Remember that. 2 turning into 3. It's going to be very crucial for future techniques. If you see 4 squares, or stars, sorry, it says if you see 4 stars, move the image farther away from your face until you see 3 stars. If you only see 1 or 2, start over. When you clearly see the 3 stars, hold the page still and the hidden image will slowly begin to appear. Once you perceive the hidden image and depth, you can look around the entire 3D image. The longer you look, the clearer it becomes. The farther away you hold the pager, the deeper it becomes. So let's go on. It says instructions number 2 for diverging your eyes. To reveal the hidden 3D illusion, hold the center of the image right up to your nose. It should be blurry. Focus as though you are looking through the image into the distance, and very slowly move the image away from your face until you begin to perceive depth. Now hold the page still, and the hidden image will slowly appear. So again, just basically what they're saying is that you put it very close. You put the book very close to your face. You look through it, and then as you move away, it comes into your focus and the 3D object appears, okay? So it also says something called magic eye floaters. Magic eye floaters are another type of magic 3D illusion. Floaters can be first viewed in 2D, and then by using the standard magic eye viewing techniques, again, techniques, floaters will appear to float in 3D space. So basically, on some of these pages, it's not just a psychedelic weird thing. You might see a picture of a beach ball or something, and when you look through the page, the beach ball looks like it's floating on the page, right? Now, I've practiced this so much, and I've worked on the stare so much that I don't need to hold this in front of my face and then pull it away. The other day when I opened up this book, I was literally just turning the pages one after another, and the 3D images were already popping out because, again, I've practiced this technique so much. I've become a professional at it, if you will, and I can just set my vision past the book, and as I go through, the images just appear. I don't have to sit there and refocus every time, right? Now, you might say, Victor, I mean, what does this have to do with magic? I mean, you got this silly kids book. You're talking about these 3D images. So how do we actually use it in our magical techniques, right? We're going to talk about this more in the future episodes, right? I wanted to share this information early on in the series so you can go out and buy this book now and you can start practicing with it now. Again, it was $15 on Amazon. Same thing with this book, $15 off of Amazon. I know this one, again, it's free. You can find it on the internet for free, archive.org. It's all over the place. This one, I think you might have to buy. I don't know if digital versions of these images would work, but they might. So this technique of the stare, staring through the objects, okay, this is what you're going to do. This is the technique that you're going to use when you stare into the black mirror. This is the technique that you're going to use when you stare into the obsidian ball or your crystal ball, whichever accoutrement, whichever devices that you use, that you purchase or acquire for your magical practices. You're going to stare through them. Now, again, you could grab a crystal ball right now, sit down sober-minded with no preparation and do the stare and look through it, and it would turn from maybe 1 into 2 crystal balls or whatever, and it might look cool for a second. But that's not just what magic is. Think of this. You've taken your low-dose THC. You've taken your low-dose psilocybin. You've listened to the Gateway Experience tape, so now you are in this state of hypnosis. You're in the state of somnambulance, okay? And I looked up somnambulance the other day. The definition, the dictionary definition is sleepwalking. That's what we're doing. We're trying to get into the state, basically the same state of mind that sleepwalkers are in when they are sleepwalking, right? Folks, I mean, we've already discovered what the sleep paralysis is. I've already explained that to you. And now we're going through the sleepwalking, right? We're getting into this state. And here's the important part. And this is why I always say low dose psilocybin, right? You cannot take so much psilocybin that you end up just curled up in the fetal position in the corner because you took a heroic dose and now you've poisoned yourself. That's not going to get you where you need to be. It's a very fine line, right? It's this gray area, this somnambulance. You have to be in the state of mind enough to where things are strange. Things are different than normal reality. But you also have to stay in a state of mind where you can still function just enough to pull the tarot cards and to light the candle and to do some of these things, right? Because you are still going to be practicing these things, practicing the magic, right? So again, you've taken the THC, you've taken the mushrooms, you listen to the Gateway Experience tapes, you're in the state of somnambulance, this hypnotic state. You put on the hypnotic music, the magical music, and again, I'll share with you the playlist, or really it's one video that I listen to that's totally amazing. It works perfectly for magic. So now you're listening to this music, the mushrooms are going, you're in the state of hypnosis, and in front of you is your altar with your black mirror, with your obsidian ball, and now you're doing your breathing techniques and you're staring through the black mirror. You're staring through the crystal ball. Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps, folks, because that feeling is amazing. And this is where you do your magic. Now you ask your questions. Now you get into the flow of the paracosmic forces. Now you manifest. This is the state of being that you have to be in before you can ask these things, before you can make true change using magic. Again, I don't think it's just sober-minded, fully conscious, just pulling cards. I don't think that's how this works. We see that on social media and everything. And I think true magic, the way that the ancients did it, the way maybe secret societies did this, and I say did this, I don't know if secret societies do this type of magic anymore. I think a lot of what they do is ceremonial representations of what I'm teaching you. They're, again, just like the Eucharist being a cannibalistic representation of cannibalism, right? They're eating the bread and drinking the wine, which is representing eating flesh and drinking blood. It's a ceremony that represents cannibalism. I believe the secret societies, when they go through their very boring, very long, very drawn out, memorization required, where again, it's like you're in school, you just have to regurgitate a bunch of nonsense that someone else wrote. When you're going through all those things with these secret societies, I believe that's just a representation of people who actually did magic in the past. I don't think these secret society boys are taking mushrooms and staring into black mirrors. They might do that on their own separately, but I don't think they're doing that in the lodges. I think the lodges are, again, just sober-minded guys dressed in kind of goofy outfits, and then they have a meal and drink a beer afterwards. You know, it seems more like a kind of a business-oriented men's club is what, you know, again, I never joined any, but all the research that I did, that's what it kept pointing to. And that's why I started doing the chaos magic and learning myself. And that's what led me to things like this. It might seem childish. It might seem so silly. It might, I get it. But the Magic Eye Gallery, what it teaches you is the stare. The stare is one of the magical techniques that you're going to need to really figure out. You're going to need to perfect it. Because when you do, it's amazing what you'll see. And we'll talk about that in future episodes. But you will get to a point, just like I do. You can flip through this book and see every 3D image. You don't have to refocus every time. You're going to be in the zone. You're going to be in that state. And again, you see some really interesting things. And it's amazing because it's not digital. It's not fake. You didn't have to apply some VR glasses or look at the screen or anything. These things are happening in your mind. You're seeing things that other people are not seeing. That's really wild. Like when you get into this state and you see the world around you start to change and vibrate and pulse and melt. If there are other people in the room with you who are sober-minded, they're not seeing what's happening. When the portals open up in front of you, they don't see it, but you do. And you see it by using this technique called the stare. All right, welcome back, folks. I hope you liked that little lesson on a new magical technique called the stare. All of these little techniques, when they add up, I promise, these are the techniques that are universal to all magicians. You don't have to follow my style or, what I'm doing. You don't have to recite any of the things I've said. None of things like that. You come up with your own style. But some of these techniques are universal and are required to do magic. And the stare is one of them from the Magic Eye Gallery, right? But let's pick up where we left off from the book Magic, History, Theory, Practice. Again, folks, they've been hiding this stuff in plain sight all of these years. And it feels so good to have found these things, bringing them out into the light. No longer are they occultic. No longer are they hidden. That's why I call myself the occult technician. I'm here trying to break things down into their simplest forms, make things work properly, and then share with all of you those techniques that I've learned about magic. And this has been a wild ride. It's been a lot of fun so far. I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope you're learning new things. I hope that you're starting to incorporate these techniques into your practices and starting to get results from it. But let's continue on here. We are on page 38 of Magic History Theory Practice by Dr. Ernst Schertl, and it says this: a steering of the magic forces in a special direction can be seen in all of the acts, which are in the narrower sense called enchantment. This is about the concentration of the magic forces towards a certain person or any other kind of object to create very particular magic effects. Okay, so when you concentrate and focus your magic on a specific person or object to create a very particular magic effect, so you have a specific purpose, you focus your magical purpose on a person or object, that is called enchantment. If concrete things are involved, it is from time immemorial common practice to create a picture of the pertaining item, to possibly add parts of the real thing, hair, splinters, secretions, etc., and to then carry out with this picture what one wants to have accomplished with the pertaining object itself. This is called pictorial magic. The word picture has to be understood in the widest sense. Okay. Again, when you do your magical ceremony, when you do your magic rituals, you are using your imagination because you want a specific effect to occur. And often when we do that, we have to use representations of what we want to have happen. Or like the author here says, pictorial magic, right? That's a lot like your vision board. You don't own a mansion, but you can take a picture of one and say, this is what I'm working towards, right? He also said you could use other things than pictures. You can actually use real items like hair, splinters, or secretions. That, to me, moves away from your vision board and maybe things like voodoo dolls, right? If you are creating a pictorial image, if you're creating a representation of someone that you're trying to enchant, you create a voodoo doll and you put their hair on it and their blood in it and their secretions, however you get those, right? I think that's what he's talking about here. Okay? Again, do with it whatever you like. Do as thou wilt is the whole of the law, right? I came up with a follow-on to that, basically that there are no laws, right? But I'll try to remember that for later. But let's continue on here. It says the word picture has to be understood in the widest sense. These are not necessarily exact replications of the object, but every piece of wood, every kind of vague drawing in the sand, and under certain circumstances, the pure concrete imagination are enough. Again, you don't even have to physically create these things. You can imagine them. This is it. The pure concrete imagination is enough. Imagination, I've told you how crucial it is to be able to see these things in your mind. You have to be able to imagine them. It is only crucial that something is used as a substitute for the real thing. Therefore, pictorial magic comes into consideration only where the real object is difficult to access for direct magical manipulations. So the next, so that was enchantment using pictorial magic. The next one we're going to talk about here is amulet magic. Amulet magic, in its widest sense, is in a certain way associated with pictorial magic. That is to say, the creation of objects which are loaded with magic force by the use of certain acts. This kind of enchantment is also applied if the magic ceremony cannot be performed at the place or at the time where the magic effect should happen. Amulets are accumulators of magic force or magic infernal machines. Okay, so amulets are accumulators of magic. They absorb it. And they're often called magic infernal machines. Amulets and talismans already can be found among the most primitive peoples, and their creation is partly based on utilization and skillful combination of the natural magic forces of stones, metals, and organic substances, as well as based on speaking to these assembled objects, whereby also the appropriate alignment of the stars, the orientation of the talismans, and much else matter. Does it matter to you? That's where it matters. The time, the full moon or the new moon, maybe another celestial event that means something to you. The place, where are you doing your magic? What amulet are you going to be using and what purpose? It has to mean something to you. If the full moon has no meaning or effect on you, if the day of the week is more important to you, then do the day of the week. Whatever it is, whatever is important to you. Certain magic symbols written on little notes and added to the whole belong to it, as do scratched or painted magical signs. Amulet magic can be steered like pictorial magic into totally opposite directions. It is able to heal and destroy, can inspire love or crush it, can give strength for battle or weakness, and much, much more. Okay. Your magic can heal or destroy. Here in the Mind War podcast, we know that ultimately this podcast is a self-help podcast. That's what all of this is. We are healing our mind, body, and spirit from the organizations, corporations, and institutions that have polluted our minds, poisoned our bodies, and corrupted our souls. During your healing process, with all of your anger, with all of your sadness, with all of the pain and suffering that you have, that you've had to deal with from the organizations, corporations, and institutions, or peoples in your life, whatever it is. Again, what do you do with that energy? Do you seek revenge? Do you harm yourself in that revenge? Or do you heal? And in your healing process, instead of going out to one of these organizations, corporations, and institutions and taking a Molotov cocktail and throwing it through the window and burning the building down and then being arrested and spending the rest of your life in jail for acts of terrorism, right? Let's not do that. That's the opposite of what you want to do. Again, you think it feels good in the moment because you're so upset. Oh, right? You're going to get your revenge. But instead of allowing that need for revenge to end up screwing your life up, or your sadness and your depression, what do you do with it? Sometimes some people feel that the only way to deal with their sadness and depression is to hurt themselves. That was me for a long time. I didn't cut myself like some people do. I drank myself into pain. I drank to hide the pain of the emotions, and I drank to hurt myself physically as a form of punishment. And for those people out there who are cutting themselves, I can't imagine what you're going through. I know it's prevalent. I know it's bad and it's dangerous out there. And that's why, when we get into future episodes and we start talking about the use of blood and things like that, I'm going to be very clear. It's not about hurting yourself. That's not what this is. And here's why. If you have the depression, if you have the sadness, and you cut yourself, your body is going to release naturally made drugs that are going to help you feel better, right? Oxytocin or whatever it is, right? It's a natural pain reliever. When you cut yourself and cause pain, your body tries to heal it through this release of chemicals. It's almost orgasmic. And oftentimes what happens is that sadness and the depression that made you do that in the first place, it starts to go away after you cut yourself. But what have you done? Now you've hurt yourself. And now that tiny orgasmic feeling that comes from cutting yourself, it's gone in a minute. It's gone in an instant, the same as throwing the Molotov cocktail at the fucking building. That pain's gone for a fucking second, man. But now you're left with an open wound on your arm. And now it's bleeding, and now you have to sew it up, and now you got to bandage it, and now it's going to be hurting for weeks and weeks and weeks as a reminder of your sadness and your emotion and your depression. That's not what we do here. Oh, no. We're not releasing this pain anymore. Nope. We're not releasing the pain. We're holding on to it. All of the other organizations, corporations, and institutions, especially the religious ones, tell you to release the pain. Not here. You're going to harness it. This is what we've talked about. You harness the energy of your sadness, of your anger. You don't release it. You keep it bottled up tighter. You compress it into your heart, in your mind. It forms into an obsidian ball inside of you. Pure hate, pure pain, pure suffering. And then you take that. While you are in the state of somnambulance, after you've taken the mushrooms, after you've taken the THC, after you've listened to the tapes, and you're in front of your altar, and you're listening to your hypnotic music, and you're in the state of somnambulance, and you're using the stare, looking in the black mirror, and you push all of that anger, all of that hate that you've been harnessing, that you didn't waste on cutting yourself. You didn't waste by drinking a beer. You harness that energy and you shove it through the black mirror. And you push it in there. And you send it out into the world beyond the black mirror. And we'll talk about what's beyond the mirror in future episodes. And you push it out there and you target your individual with that information, with that emotion, with those feelings. You target whatever your target is, person, place, thing, whatever. You target it that way. That's how you release this pain. Not through cutting, not through drinking, not through any of the other destructive means that would destroy you. That's when the demon shows his ugly side. That's when the demon shows a side that the world says that's what a demon is. Oh, look how awful and sad and scary it is. And look at this person that destroyed their life because of this fucking demon. Again, the demon is the human characteristic, that human emotion from being hurt. No, we harness it instead of just releasing it, which is a negative thing, which is something that gets us in trouble. We harness it and we use it on the other side of the pendulum. And we create. We create art. We create podcasts. We create new organizations, corporations, and institutions. Or maybe you just create a beautiful, tiny little life for yourself that's insulated from all the other bullshit of the world. And you live a happy, healthy, calm, and content life. It's your priority, man. It's whatever you want to do. That's the beauty of magic. Okay, let's see. Amulet magic can be steered like pictorial magic into totally opposite directions. It's able to heal and destroy, love or crush. Again, man, it says it can inspire love. Okay. If you are a sad and lonely man and you are out there trying to use magic to enchant someone that you want to fall in love with you, it's not how it works, man. This is not how it works, okay? What you need to do is, instead of focusing those emotions outwardly, like you're trying to catch someone and pull them into you, what you're going to do is you're going to turn all of that around back to yourself. That need for love, that desire for love that you have that's making you so desperate that you think you have to do magic in order to get someone to love you, turn it around on yourself. Love yourself. Become a person worth loving. Do you get it? Transform yourself first. No one is going to love you in the state that you're in right now because you're a profane person. You're in a state of profanity. Now, not the mind warrior, citizen samurais, guerrilla gurus, and warrior monks here in the mind war, right? Of course, you guys are figuring it out. But when you share this information with others, that's what you need to tell them. If you are unhappy with yourself, if you are in a bad state yourself, you can't go looking for others to bring into you, to form a relationship with when you are a pile of destruction. When you are those ashes, you can't go out and look for love at that point. You have to be the phoenix. You have to understand where you are in the transformative process. And once you understand that, then the phoenix starts to rise. And now you become this powerful thing. You transform yourself. And when you do that, now things become attracted to you. Instead of being this desperate thing that repels love, desperation, and all of those type of things, that repels attraction, confidence, pride, strength. Those things attract it. And that's what you can do. That's what all the best magicians do. They transform themselves first. You've heard this story over and over again, and it's clicking in your mind right now. You know I'm fucking right, man. And I know you can do it. Take some before and after photos. Take them now. Whatever state you're in, take that selfie. I want to see the before and after photos from all of you. No matter how long it takes. It's probably going to take a few years. But you're going to transform into the person you want to be. Focus on that first. Be selfish in your magic. Transform yourself. And then you're going to attract all of those things that you think you wanted. Again, when you're in that desperate, sad state of being, you're going to be out there doing magic and wanting all sorts of things that you don't really need. Once you use the magic to transform yourself, and now you say, oh, I'm a different person. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm content and confident. I'm not desperately needing to be in the next relationship. You've heard this before. I'm not saying anything new. I'm just telling you a different way to get there. I'm telling you how the best of the best got there. I'm revealing the secrets, the hidden. Okay? Strength or weakness for battle. Okay, the difference with pictorial magic is only that the amulet must be worn by the one it is designed to have effects on, while pictorial magic is designed for the farthest distances. Again, do amulets. What are amulets? Ring, right? Necklace. These are amulets. These are things that you can wear upon your person or someone else can wear them. Symbols like this that you see in front of me or behind me, these are forms of amulets. This symbol you see in front of me, this American flag pyramid, right? This is made out of wood, paint, screws, and glue. But I also have a sticker form that you can get at Victory Work Apparel on my Etsy page. If you take that sticker form and you use that in your ceremonial magic, and you, like I said before, you don't waste your emotions, you harness them, you push it into the sticker, and then you take that sticker and you place it somewhere on the building of the job that you want to get. This is what we're talking about. Okay? These are, is it magic or is it reinforcement? Is it reinforcement and to focus on what you actually want? I think it's both. This is the type of amulet magic that they're talking about. Or you focus all your energy into your own amulets and then you wear them yourself to give you strength and protection, right? That's amulet magic. Oh boy, folks. Necromancy, or conjuration of the dead, is a kind of magic activity where the magician invokes a dead person to perform magical effects through him, which in many cases has reached a high degree of perfection. Many cases? Okay, so a lot of people have been doing necromancy. Sounds like it. To the point where it's been able to be measured up to perfection? Oh, man. Okay. Necromancy plays a crucial role in my magical journey. We're not going to talk about it today. But for those of you who followed around along with the Gateway Experience tapes, my series on the Gateway, you saw that my mother died. And I told you at the end of that series that something really fucking gnarly happened after her death. And that I'm not quite ready to explain it yet. But through my magical journey, as we go through my Instagram, we're going to get there. And I'm going to tell you a story of necromancy that has been multiple years in the making. And it's fucking crazy. It may have been perfected. Let's go on here. It says, this kind of magic, and now this is something that I highlighted, this paragraph here. It says, this kind of magic rests upon the thinking that death produces a demonization of the pertaining individual, so that this person does now not appear as human anymore, but as an animal, as a ghost, or a demon. There's going to be several different ways to shapeshift. Okay, this is all coming back to me right now. As I read through this multiple times in the past, as I went through the magic, it's coming back. And there is a shape-shifting ability, and we're going to talk about that and what that means. But here we're saying, in necromancy, when you conjure the spirit of someone who is dead, they may not necessarily come as that individual, but they may come in the form of an animal, a ghost, or a demon, or in my case, a sort of celestial star pattern. And I don't mean up in the sky. Again, we'll talk about that. This perception derives from the situation that dead things are easily sensed as a seat of demonic forces, partly because of the horrified unfamiliarity we have with all which is dead, and partly because of the switching off of the conscious life, whereby, like in a deep sleep, a closer contact to paracosmical forces seems possible. When something dies, our emotions are triggered. Emotions are human characteristics. Human characteristics are often represented by monsters we call demons. So when something dies, the demons come, aka the emotions come. The human consciousness is awakened to what occurred, and natural feelings are the result. That's all he's talking about here. But we are also, as he says, horrified unfamiliarity. We are very unfamiliar with what it means to be dead because you only get to be dead once. I don't care about all the stories that we've talked about people who died on the operating table and came back and all that stuff. You didn't die. You weren't dead. Your heart maybe stopped beating. Your brain activity maybe wasn't there, but your conscious was still in your body. You were still alive. It's not until you are dead that you're really dead. Therefore, necromancy only represents a special kind of demon evocation. And the mortuary cult we can find with many peoples, and which is only minimally alive in our spiritualism of today, is only a special kind of demonic cult. Demonic evocation. We are going to talk about evocation and invocation in future episodes. That was necromancy. So far we've done enchantment through pictorial magic, amulet magic, and necromancy. And we go on here. It says the purpose of magical procedures or techniques was not always to actively affect the environment, but frequently only to passively listen into or see into cosmical and paracosmical connections. Not all the magic you do is going to affect something, to change something, to get something, but instead passively listen to or see into. It's exactly what I was talking about when you pull the tarot cards on the night of the full moon. You are seeing yourself in that moment. What are you really feeling? What is hidden underneath your ego? What's really going on in your life? That's the reflection in the cards that you get on the night of the new moon. That's what they're talking about here. This is called clairaudience or clairvoyance. And insofar as it is about investigations about the future, it is called prophecy or soothsaying. So again, if you're using these techniques and you are seeing into the future, that's prophecy or soothsaying. And when you are, whether it's seeing or hearing things, if you hear things, it's called clairaudio, audience, or if you're seeing things, clairvoyance, right? Originally, prophecy meant just speaking while being delighted with God. And this already shows that for this kind of magic, the amalgamation with the demon, that is to say, an ecstasy trance, was seen as a precondition as much as with every other kind of magic. Listen up. In order to do these things, right? You have to be in a state of ecstasy or trance or somnambulance or hypnosis. They're all the same words. Or, sleep paralysis or sleepwalking. This is what I've been telling you. It is seen as a precondition. It's what we just got done talking about. I don't think you can do real magic sober, conscious-minded. I don't think that's how it works. I think you have to be in this trance, somnambulic state. The methods of prophecy are countless, and they fluctuate in colorful abundance between simple clairvoyance without any kind of special direction and the most complicated instructions and techniques. Again, you could go out there, get into your state of somnambulance, look into your obsidian ball, your black mirror, and just ask the universe, what would you like to show me? I'm not trying to find anything specific. I just want to know. Or if you're looking for an extremely specific piece of information, now your ritual magic is going to include all of the pictorial magic like we just talked about. You're going to have amulets, pictures of the things that you're trying to get information from. You're going to research them. You're going to focus them. You're going to watch movies. You're going to visit, whatever it is. You're going to do everything you can in your preparation to do magic in order to get the specific piece of information that you want. And then when you do, you might have, as the author says, the most complicated instructions and techniques. Again, it's chaos magic, so you're going to figure out what that is. But you might have 10 different steps that you're going to put in order to get the information that you want, something very specific. Or you can go into it more casually and just say, hey, universe, what do you want to show me? These different observances have the tracing out or artificial construction of certain concentration points in common in order to reach a state of clairvoyance. It is relatively unimportant if this concentration point rests in a crystal, a glass of water, a plate with tea leaves, an animal's liver, or in the flight path of a bird. Okay. It's relatively unimportant what you use. Isn't that what I've been telling you? You don't have to follow my style. You don't have to use my sigils and my symbols. You don't have to do any of the things that I'm doing artistically. The technique, though, is what we're talking about. So the thing that you're concentrating on is almost irrelevant. It has to be something that's important to you, but it may not be important to the next magician. And it doesn't matter whether it's a crystal. We've seen that with the obsidian. A glass of water. We saw that in the last episode. I showed you as we went through my magical journey on Instagram. We saw that I was adding a clay dish full of water. We have earth and water there. A plate with tea leaves, right? You can read the tea leaves. An animal's liver. Again, if part of your ceremony is sacrificing an animal where you butcher an animal and then eat it, you can use its organs and its bones as part of your concentration point. Or in the flight path of a bird. Maybe you're stuck somewhere and you're desperate to get out of that place. And in your magical ceremony, you're going to focus on the bird who gets to fly away. And you're going to say, I want to be that bird. You're going to focus on that bird and that path and say, how do I get out of here? This is what we're talking about. Whatever has meaning to you. Although all of these methods are carried out on the basis of established and learnable rules or techniques, experience shows that these rules are only cultic rules. That is to say, they are indeed individual, and that the magic ability of the individual is always the one key factor. Again, we could get 1 million people together, buy all of the magical stuff off of, Amazon or whatever. We could tell people, here's a list of what you do, but if their heart is not in it, and they're just going through the motions, there is no magic in them. Nothing's going to happen. versus that individual who is really full, Or again, let's say we take that first group of people and we take them to the biggest, Gothic cathedrals in the world that are plated in gold for these religions that have been around for thousands of years, and they go through the motions. There's no magic there. It's dead. It's empty. It's profane. But you, with your little Amazon thing and your little cards you got from Temu or Alibaba, like I did, right? All the shit that I bought in the beginning was from Alibaba, literally the cheapest place I could find it, because I was in such financial hardship at the time. Every penny counted. Still does. Always does. That's what we're talking about. When you need it, when you are honest about it, then magic is real. Reading the cards is also done with stringent rules that have thousands of years of tradition. Reading the tarot cards has thousands of years of traditional techniques. Oh, but I'm a TikTok witch and I pull cards on the live stream. All right. Cool, man. That's empty calories. Nevertheless, not every random person is able to investigate the future on the basis of these rules alone if he does not have the necessary clairvoyant abilities. The profane just aren't going to get it. Some people are just never going to get it. Even in astrology, which is after all a virtual mathematical science, only the one who has the necessary natural magical talents alongside of his scientific astronomical education will be able to produce satisfying results. I've loved the idea of astronomy, looking out into the stars, mapping them, understanding when things are going to occur. I wish I knew more about it. And maybe over the next 3.5 years, I will learn more about it. And that'll be more important in my magical rituals. They'll be timed more with these astronomical events, right? All of this is up to you. It's called chaos magic for a reason. You take what works for you, you perfect it, the technique, and then you add the next one. And if you find something doesn't work, you toss it aside and you move on. And those are the type of things that we're learning from Adolf Hitler's favorite book, Magic, History, Theory, Practice by Dr. Ernst Schertl. I can't believe this is where we are at right now. And this is being recorded in the middle of 2025. I had no clue that this is where we were going, folks. This is a great example that I did not plan any of this, that I have been flying by the seat of my pants. And again, taking a huge risk sharing all of this stuff with you. I am unemployable after this one. Anybody gets a hold of my social media, that's it. I'm putting a lot on the line, folks, and I hope you appreciate it. I know you do. And in just a minute, we're going to get back to my magical journey over on Instagram. You'll find me there at The Occult Technician, and we'll carry on with that side of the story. All right, folks, welcome back. We're going to pick up where we left off on my magical journey over on Instagram at The Occult Technician. We're going to scroll all the way down to a post titled Pink Moon. Okay, so this was from April of 2022. And I was asking questions. What do we leave behind in the frozen depths of winter? And the card that I got was Death, which is a transition. We transition out of the winter into the spring. What do we find left over after the thaw? So what happens when everything thaws out from the winter? And the card I found was the Devil. That our problems are still there. They didn't just go away over the freezing of the winter. They thaw out and they come back to life if we don't deal with them. And what do we look forward to in the warmth of spring? And the card was the Six of Swords, which is hope. Right? These are how the cards will speak to you. When we leave behind winter, the card I pulled was death. We transition out of it. And what we find after the snow thaws is the devil. Our problems are still there if we haven't dealt with them. But what do we look forward to in the warmth of spring is hope. The hope of the transition, the hope of change. That was the pink moon from April 16th, 2022. The next post we have is from the flower moon. So let's see if there's anything special that night. Again, we're seeing that I'm adding a lot more accoutrement to my ceremonies. We have the clay dish that I made as a kid. We have an obsidian skull with horns that I bought from a website called skulsis.com. An amazing site for any of you your crystal needs. Skulsis, SKULLIS.com, I believe is what it is. I have my tablet there working as the black mirror. I have candles. I have some pieces of silver kind of as an offering. And all of it is on a blanket that used to belong to my Grandpa Harry. And we're going to talk about Grandpa Harry in future episodes. He plays a big part. So as I go through these pictures, we have a couple of different views there. Again, this is a very traditional setup, very classic for what I was doing. Again, just learning different techniques, trying different things out. And it worked wonderful. It was an amazing, message that they send you. And what we had here on the flower moon was first the Eight of Swords. I felt trapped, powerless, right? At that time, in the early days of my magical work, I definitely felt trapped and powerless. I found myself alone. I was trapped in my aloneness and powerless. I felt like there was nowhere to go. It was a tough time. That's maybe where you're at right now. And again, the reason that I left all this super embarrassing stuff on my Instagram is to show you that there is a transition. It takes time. It's progress. And that's what we're seeing here. These early days when Victor was lost, trapped, sad, beaten down. I had no hope for the future. But now, 2-3 years later, you're seeing it now. You're seeing the results right now. A healthy, happy man who's had massive transformations occur in his life. And now I am creating one of the most dynamic podcasts ever seen. I know hardly anyone's going to see it. But you can't tell me that Gateway Experience series wasn't one of the most amazing years in podcasts ever. That may be one of the wildest stories ever told in podcasting. Next, I pulled the Father of Pentacles, which is steady and entrepreneurial. Now, at this time, I was, again, starting the t-shirt company and these type of things, and I was trying to be more business-oriented. That has taken us... That has taken the back seat now. The business and all that type of stuff isn't the forefront for me. Now it's sharing the information, making the podcast. Art is more important than business, right? And then the Four of Pentacles, possession, control, right? Having been through a recent breakup around this time, it had been almost a year that I had been alone now. That feeling of possession and control was still there, wanting to possess this person again, wanting to control them again. And it just was silly. And it's something that we had to move past, right? And then I say here, can we overcome our obstacles? Can we work hard towards achieving a goal? And can we succeed without becoming arrogant? I hope that's what we've done. So let's see. Our next post is where we welcome Crowcell. And it says here, this is interesting. It says, I saw a flaming shooting star. So that night, while I was doing mushrooms, while I was doing magic, I went outside and I was smoking weed and I saw a flaming shooting star. And I meant it had a huge fiery tail as it whipped across the sky. It was probably the most amazing shooting star I've ever seen. And this is when I really started to incorporate, again, more things into my work. And again, we see that I had my father's bayonet there, but there's a small blue item at the end of the knife. And I don't think we're going to get into that today, but we will very shortly, what that item is and how it works. Okay. Sorry, let me decline that call there, folks. So the next picture that I have there in the next post is just a skull that I have. In front of it is the card, the Crocell card, and it's just sitting there in front of a bowl of water. I just thought that was kind of cool looking. That was in my room at the time. I thought I would post that. Then the next one, it was in the strawberry moon. So this was an interesting post, okay? So the strawberry moon, let's see, I pulled the death card again for transformation. I pulled the Mother of Swords for perspective, and then the Hierophant for knowledge. Now this is what was interesting is, so in the springtime, I went out back in the backyard and I found 3 black crow feathers. And I brought them in, I stuck them into a candle. I had a small piece of candle, just about an inch high that was left over. I warmed it up. I put the feathers in there, and then I placed that candle inside of a ring. I still have them to this day. But that night when I pulled the cards, each of the cards had a bird represented on them. So I thought that was kind of interesting way to start the summer. This was the beginning of summer. And I thought that was an odd coincidence that I had found these bird feathers and then, pulled 3 bird cards and found 3 bird feathers. Again, all of this stuff is going to have meaning to you, right? It's going to be personal to you. So the last 2 posts that we're going to talk about today, I know this has been a long episode, folks. The next 2 posts, you're going to see the sun shelf that I made and the moon shelf that I made. Okay, so these are 2 really cool pieces of art. The first one, the moon or the sun shelf, basically I designed that to kind of look like a gold coin. I wanted to add some kind of almost like Aztec-like features. That's where you see the kind of shapes on the side that I carved out. And on there, I put all of the different items that I had been collecting to add to my magical practice, all things that I've used in my rituals. Because again, it's nice to display these things, not to just put them in a box when you're done, right? But it's nice to have them out as a memory. What are we doing? What are we focusing on, right? And of course, we had the sun. And then we have the moon. Again, that pendulum. We're trying to, at this point, gain an understanding of what the black and white checkerboard means. The checkerboard floors. Why are those everywhere in these secret societies? What does it mean? And the sun and the moon are an example of that. These 2 different things. One representing life through the sun. One representing death through the moon, right? And in the moon shelf, we see that it's that tri-moon going through the different phases. And again, learning what the new moon was and how powerful the new moon is compared to the full moon, right? And on my moon shelf, I have several jars there, and those jars are what contain the magic mushroom powder, right? That's where I keep it. Again, I keep it on display as a reminder of what I'm doing and how powerful it really is. And there I have my tarot cards, the Goetia deck, and then I have a cool little treasure chest that one of my Gemini twins gave me, and that's where I keep the incense, right? So those are hanging up in my living room. You've seen those throughout other images on my Instagram. They're often displayed in the background as I'm doing magic and taking photos and stuff like that. Those were two really cool projects. If anyone out there wants to make them, I can, hit me up. I'll tell you how I did it. It's just plywood. It's very easy. There was really nothing to it. Those were really easy projects. I made lots of them for other people. So again, just another cool project, a way to display my art, a way to display my craft, a way to take it out of a box or a trunk or something like that and have it be a part of my daily life, this daily remembrance of it. And as you go through your magical journey, you're going to find your items, you're going to find your art, whatever it means, whatever these items are that have meaning to you, you're going to understand that. You're going to have a connection to them, that talisman type magic, right? That pictorial type magic. Man, another cool episode. I think we learned a lot today. We covered a lot of stuff. I know we're still early in this series, and I'm a little worried about, just laying it all out there and then running out of stuff to talk about. But I think it's also very important that I put this information out right away. I'm trying to give you all of the info, and then we're gonna rehash it over and over, and I'll show you how these techniques, these magical techniques, actually created effects in my life. But until then, I appreciate you being here. And as always, remember, folks, harden your hearts and open your minds, because this is Mind War.